Okay.
For those who
what we do here is go back.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Chata Mecha live stream. I'm your host, Tim, the one and only Chata Mecha, and it is a bear guy night. You're all wrong. Every single one of you. Shame on you. Anyway, what's going on, guys? It's Thursday. Oh, wait, Brandon, I guess, won. Winner, chicken dinner. I I missed it. Oh, he said bear guy, so there you go. Good job, B. Alright, so hey, welcome you guys. It's Thursday, not our regular night, but one of those things, right? Programming note, there's not going to be a stream tomorrow night because I'm going out of town. So just FYI, this is the last stream of the night, or last stream of the week. But we're going to be scratch building that Gelgoog sword, that big cleaver thing. So we're going to start that here in just a few minutes. Let's see. If you want one of these cool-ass Bear Guy shirts, which I know you do, go hit up www.chatamecha.com. Hit the store button up at the top. You will find shirts and hats and all sorts of other cool stuff in there. Go load up. If you are interested in any of the tools and materials that we are working with here tonight, there's an Amazon link just below here on Twitch and YouTube. That side, if you're watching on Facebook, go check that out. I get a little bit of a commission based off the stuff that you buy, but it does go to help out the stream. Come on. And as always, if you're looking for kits and paints and accessories, Mecha Decals, which are available on wholesale now, let your local stores know. Hit up our good friends right down here at USA Gundam Store. Adam and the fine crew down there will definitely have what you need. So, before we get into scratch building, just one final update on the Zaku. I got the knee armor all cast, and that looks, I think, really, really good. So we're going to show you that here just real quick before we jump into the sword scratch building. So let's go camera 2. There we are. And let's get this guy in front. Come on, don't follow me now. Here we go. And there he is. And you can kind of see, let's get the Moa Hawk out of the way a little bit. There are the knee covers, the knee armors with the spiky bits on it. And yeah, I think that goes really, really well. It's a nice complement to, the toe spikes and everything like that. And I think it just kind of completes the look. Yeah? So, yeah, I think that's a badass little Zaku high mobility right there. You guys, and he's a lot more high mobility than other high mobilities, we'll tell you that much right now, because he's got that big old honking backpack. He's gonna be moving, right? He's gonna be moving. So I think he's looking good, standing tall, looking good. Got that Moa Hawk, mother of all heat hawks, right? So, there he is. Done. Construction is officially finito on him. So, we're going to put him off to the back of the bench here. And we're going to get started on the sword. Yeah? Alright, so, to refresh everyone's memory, this is what we came up with here on Monday's stream, right? So, I got a lot of messages saying it looks like this sword, Ashbringer or whatever, from WoW. I never played WoW, so I'd never seen it before. It just happened to be a coincidence that it looks like this. No, it's not based on the Ashbringer thing. And I know Bill Ruslam had messaged me, and he said it kind of looks like a Khopesh, like an Egyptian Khopesh. Kinda? Maybe a little, but I don't know, might be a bit of a stretch, right? But this, I can tell you, is definitely 100% original design, and you can go back and look at it on Monday's stream if you're really interested in it and kind of see how it took shape, if you will, right? So, but very happy with this. I think it looks really, really good, and I think we're in good shape. Now, what I did was I went ahead and scanned this into the good old computer, and got all the math right, took it into Illustrator and everything like that, cleaned up the edges and everything, and this is what we've got here. Now, one big difference that you will notice is that the new version is actually longer, right? It's actually a little bit longer. Now, it's hard to... this actually looks bigger on screen for some strange reason. Let's do some measuring, shall we? Just to make sure my scaling is accurate. That's not going to do the trick. Let's get out the big boy ruler here. Because my scaling might not be exactly on point. So, let's make sure what we've got here. So, we're looking at tip to tip 18 centimeter. This is actually shorter, son of a bitch. So my scaling seems to be off for some strange reason. So we're gonna have to do something about that. Not great. Not great. Oh well. Brandon says, I have a quick question.
We have a question.
Before you get into that, when strapping with half round, do you just sand the corner to round it on the corner? Yes. Simple answer. Yes. Just sand the corner round, and that'll transition everything real nicely. So, yeah, simple answer, right? Hey, Juan Crovero's over there on Facebook. He says, what's up, Tim? What's going on, dude? Donnie Baxter's over there as well. What's going on, boys? And, Ascension Industries. That's not a knife. This is a knife. Yeah, definitely. William Williams, is it named Excalibur? Did the Gilgoog receive it from the Lady in the Lake? No, not quite. Not quite at all. So, this is a bit problematic for us right now. Yeah. Just a wee bit. Just a wee bit. Now, what I think I might have to do, I hate to do this to you guys. We're going to have to take a little break. We've never done this before. But there have been contingencies. I've made contingencies and all that. Manny says, can I get a whoop whoop? Whoop whoop. There you go. For the New York crew. All right, so you guys, rather than leaving just this here empty screen, right? What we're going to do is I've got a Be Right Back screen. And like I said, we've never used it before. But we need to get this scaled correctly here. And because it is not scaled correctly right now at all. Because if we look, that is a bit small. Yeah. Nah, that's not going to work for me. That is not going to work for me. So we need to scale this. We need to scale this up a bit. It looks to me. Let's see here. Yeah. See. Okay. So I think I know what I did. I started with the handle because I knew what the dimensions were for the handle. I started with that and then built off of there. The blade, crossguard, and the pommel need to be scaled up. The handle itself, perfectly fine. Well, shit. Yeah. Needs to be 30% larger, Manny says. Yeah, I kind of think so too. I kind of think so too. Yeah. So, with that being said, give me like 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Okay? Don't go anywhere. We'll be back, and we'll get to scratch building this thing. I'll have a new printout that will be 30% larger or whatever. I don't know what the percentages are. Come on, Manny. So stay right there. Kind of brand new. Be right back screen, even though I've had it kind of had it in the can for over a year now. We've just never had to use it before. So here we go. I'll be right back, you guys. Stay there. Don't move.
If I find my way home, yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy? Would you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Would you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy?
We have a question.
What? No, we don't have a question. Weird. Anyway, all right. Ahead of time. How about that? 4 minutes. Yeah, 4 minutes. Okay, so here we go. All right, so camera 2. Let's see. All right, so here's the old printout. Scaling was off, right? So here is the new printout. Yeah. Scaling's much better. It's about 1 centimeter longer in the blade. Handle is still the same size. Crossguard pommel. Blade 20% bigger. So Manny, you were close. 20%, not 30%. But hey, who's counting, right? All right. So now we can get to work. So that looks pretty bang on right there. And there's the hand. Yeah, that I'm much more comfortable with. So this old one goes in the trash. Yeah. Mikkel, what's going on? Whoop whoop. He says you better get that blade right, man. Dude, that's why I just put on my Be Right back screen that I've never fucking used before and did it, right? So, just one of those things. Whoop whoop. There you go. Oh, all right. So now we can finally get to work, right? All right. So, as you can see, I've got a color printout and then 2 black and white. Just line drawings. What's up, Shane? Mr. Daft Robo in the house. What's going on? Mikkel says, I came on, it was that Be Right Back. Yeah, only 4 minutes. It took only 4 minutes. Like I said, I've never had to use that thing before. I've tried to not use that in my streams simply because it gets real boring real quick. So 4 minutes, not terrible, right? Not terrible. Shane wants to know who's fancy. Man, we all fancy. We're fancy boys. All of us are fancy boys. All right. All right. So let's do this. Let's get one of these line arts cut out, and it doesn't have to be super clean or anything like that. And let's use a cleaner blade here. Now what I'm doing is just basically rough cutting this line art out, and it doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that. Basically what we're doing is we're just trying to get the shape of the blade cut. We're basically making a template for everything else. That's going to be the first step in this, okay? So that right there. All right, so we've got a rough cut of this line art here, right? It's not it's not, exactly on the lines or anything. We don't need it to be at this point, right? What we actually only need is the blade. So I'm actually going to cut off everything else here. But for this cut, I want it to be square right there. Now, we're not going to throw this away. This can be used, all right? So you don't have to print out more than what's needed, right? So we've got a 1 millimeter thick piece of plastic sheet, right? Donnie said, faster than I could make a couple sandwiches. Hey, man, I didn't want to take forever. right? So, but hopefully them sandwiches are good, dude. Make me one while you're at it, would you? Just gonna trim this just a wee bit closer to the blade here. Now that we've got it rough cut. Okay. And like I said, we're not following the lines, so to speak, but we are getting it fairly tight, and that's to help with the next part, the cutout of our middle section, our core of the blade here, right? So we're going to be making this in layers, right? This blade is going to be 4 millimeters thick, right? So you're going to have one sheet of, You know, Tim is going to say, buy it from my store. What? Who's fancy? Courtney wants that shirt. Yeah. I'll hook her up. You know what? Dude, Shane, I'll hook her up, you know? If she just wants like a regular t-shirt, yeah. Get the store. Child Mecha Store, right? Now, you and I both know that, you know, we can do customs, lady shirts and stuff like that. So if that's what Courtney's into, let me know. We'll hook it up. Don't worry about it. All right. Here we go. This is going to be one of our best friends right now. Good old sticky tape. All right. So we're going to get this template stuck down to this plastic sheet. Now, it's not plow plate, you guys. It's plastic sheet. Use the right terminology, damn it. We're going to get all the edges stuck down, right? Just like that. Okay, and then this last one just gets folded over. Just like that. All right, so now we've got our template on this piece of styrene, okay? So now comes the fun part, the cutting out of this core. Now, this is the French curve that we use to design this thing, right? William Wilm says, 4 millimeter thick sword. Are you planning to kill Voltron while you're at it? Dude, no. And honestly, 4 millimeters is not that thick in terms of blade thickness. I think this, yeah. So this little strip right here, this is 4 millimeters thick. This is, it's not going to be that thick, honestly. So I think we'll be in very, very good shape. Now, let's see where our curve lies here. Alright, so our curve with the scaling and the stretching that I did in Illustrator is now a bit off. So, not a huge deal. We'll just have to freehand it, right? Not like we've not done that before. All right, so let's start with this edge, because this edge is nice and straight, right? And what we're going to use to do the bulk of this work is good old Alpha utility knife, right? But before we get started, I'm going to pop off this old blade here. Right, just like that. And that's not clean. There we go. That's much better. We'll get these little bits. Put these off to the side. We'll take care of those later and properly dispose of those. But now we've got a nice sharp blade that we can cut with. Line this up as closely as possible to that edge. We're just going to score and snap, right? So there's our first edge. Okay. Now, the next edge that we're going to do is this other straight edge here. So these are going to be our easiest cuts. So we're going to start with those. There. Score and snap. Now, if you've got one of these kind of straight jaw little pliers, these are great. These will help get these little hanger-oners right there. You're gonna have to cut the back off. That's all just trash. All right, so now what we've got here is we've got our first edge, we've got our second edge. Now we've got to kind of start to worry about the curve. But before we start that, let's catch up with comments. Yeah. Shane says, Tim, you and everyone else have a wonderful night. Have to go. I'll catch the rest of the rerun. Stay fancy. All right, fancy boy. Have fun. You and Courtney, take care, you guys. Awesome. Brandon says, bought the NT cutter from your Amazon link like 2 weeks ago. I fell in love with it. Went back on and bought the pack of blades too. Yeah, the blades are really inexpensive, the Alpha blades. And like, you get 40 of them for like $3-4. Like, it's crazy. And they're super sharp too. So it's a good deal. It's definitely a good deal. Spider2K2 has hundreds of dollars in tools and paints, uses $2 tape to hold things down. Yeah, because it works. This is old school scratch building, man. It just works, right? There's no getting around what works, yeah? Hey, Flynnberger, what's up, fella? Mr. Craig Flynn. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you. All right. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to tackle this, the bottom side curve. That's going to be the next easiest thing. But we've got to get this little cut right there. We get that started, and then we finish it off with the chisel blade. Because that's nice and straight, and then you can just kind of guillotine chop that sumbitch right down into the plastic. Now, for this curve cut, we're going to just use the standard hobby knife. And we're going to take our time with this, and we're going to go kind of nice and slow, right? So we're going to start on this side. We're just going to use a good amount of pressure and just slowly follow that outline and get that curve. Like I said, you want to use a decent amount of pressure on this. You don't want to obviously break the blade or anything like that, but you want enough pressure to where this blade is going to make a nice indent into the plastic, right? So where we can score this and then we can snap it off. And since this is pretty thin, this is where these pliers come in really, really handy. Now, that just cut up our bottom portion of our template, which is not a big deal. That's perfectly fine. In fact, it helps get this crap out of the way. Getting this core to the proper shape is crucial because everything else is going to be based off of this core shape. So this is our middle section, right? This is the most important part. So we're going to be shaping this thing after we get this thing cut out and sanding it down and making sure that we're pretty much good to go. Okay. Alright, so there's the bottom of our core. Let's do a little house cleaning, toss that stuff out of the way. And now, final part, we've got to cut the top curve, yeah? Spider2K2, that hashtag at the end of my comment wasn't supposed to be a joke. I use Scotch tape for dry transfer decals all the time. Yeah, dude, it absolutely works. Yeah, no, and trust me, I didn't mean it, it was a joke or anything. But no, you use what works, right? Hey, Brian Bondock is over there on Facebook. Traffic was so bad. Good thing you're live streaming now, Tim. There we go. What's going on, Brian? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Good stuff. All right, so. This is going to be the toughest part because obviously this is the longest sweeping curve that there is. So we've got to be really, really careful with this because we've only got this side of the tape to go with. And now that I think about it, I'm going to kind of just reinforce the bottom side here just so we don't lose that contour. We're going to re-secure this bottom section with some more sticky tape. Just like that. And just a little bit right here on the edge. Alright, so now this template, if we cut through all the way down to here, this template isn't going to move on us, right? So there we go. Zero Kai wants to know, can you use this technique for making guns? Absolutely, dude. Where did it go? I don't have it in here, do I? Nah. I scratch built the Ozymandias gun. Similar to this, I also did the I made a what is it, a kukri style sword in much the same fashion with this particular technique that I never used for the Ozzy, just because scaling wise it was just a little bit on the small side. I can't find the damn thing right now, or else I'd remind you guys what it looks like, but you get the point. Yeah, you can absolutely use this. 100%, yeah. Flynn says, might actually build something this weekend, chilling to some action. That's my Friday rolls to an end. Nice, thank you, Flynn. I appreciate that, buddy. Spire2K2 James 2.0 says, why not make 2 cuts on that plate so it would be more easier to manipulate? Make 2 cuts. I don't know. Explain that a little bit more, James, because you kind of lost me there. Alright, so let's get this going here. Eyes down. Here we go. Moment of truth. Again, use pretty decent pressure. Follow the curve. Steady hands. Steady, steady hands. And there we go. Woo! All right. A little nerve-wracking that, but we snap this out, and there's our core. There's our blade core. Nice. Very good. Very good. Now, don't throw this away. This is perfectly good styrene sheet, and we're actually going to use this to make another side for our sword here. Yeah. So, okay. So now we can remove the template off of this. Make sure you save that. Make sure you get all the tape off of there. Now we've got to clean this up, okay? Because this curve here and this curve here, it's a little ragged from the snapping. So we're just going to sand these edges, clean them up, refine them a bit, and then we'll go from there, and we will make our other cores, right? All right, so these two flat edges, these are easy. You can just hit these with a sanding block and just square these up, even them nice and neat, right? Just like that. And then this edge, we can just take the hobby knife and just kind of trim that back just a hair, and that's going to square that up, make that look real nice. Now, this curve here, I'm actually going to hit this with the sanding block to start with, right? That should get a nice, start to at least get a nice, there's still some wave in that. You know, just from the snapping process, it leaves a bit of wobble to that curve. And we want a nice sweeping curve, right? So, Paktan said over there on YouTube, he says, yeah, I'm going to use this method to scale up the Origin Zaku 2 anti-ship rifle to 1/100 scale for my 2.0 Char Zaku. Nice. I like that. I like where your head's at. Colin Barr, what's going on, man? LOL, I might actually get some building done this weekend. Spending it with my son, and we can build together. That's awesome, dude. That is great. Manny says, man, did anyone else's butthole pucker up while Tim was cutting? I mean, dude, it's just... I've got other printouts, and I've got other styrene sheet. It's not a huge deal, right? Not a huge deal. Let's see, Spider2K2, what I mean is instead of one straight line, make a notch above the stencil and cut the blade in half unless you plan to use the other sheet. Yes! Yeah, this part here is, we're going to make another core for that. So this is useful, yeah, because this will line up perfectly, and it's sized perfectly for another round of that, yeah. Ascension Industries Gunpla can really be so stressful and yet so zen. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. Colin Barr says, I use building high grades as my zen. Master grades and perfect grades are where all my give a fucks go. Nice. Thaddeus Sturziker? Thaddeus, I hope I'm saying that right. Hey, dude, what grit do you use to square up the edges? Good question. This right here, this grit on this particular sanding block is 400. So I like to use 400 just for roughing stuff up and, you know, just getting material removed and everything. So I find that that's just a really, really good grit to start with. This doesn't have to be a fine sand right now because we're still working with it. We're still smoothing out the lines and everything. And then we're going to have other pieces stacked on top of this. So having these all perfectly sanded down and really, really nice at this point, not a priority, right? Because what we're going to do is we're going to put an edge on all of these surfaces here. And then, you know, we've still got to cut out the little circular notch and everything. So that all comes later, right? So, but yeah, 400 grit makes a hell of a good starting off point. Let's put it that way. Good question. William Williams, all I see is that Tim is cutting and not wearing any protective finger condoms. Jesus. Don't come running to us when you spill that blood. Yeah, well, I've learned my lesson. I learned that the hard way the other week. So, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Trust me. I will be fine. All right, so we're going to get this long sweeping curve done here. And we're just kind of blocking this out. Now, the problem that you're going to run into with using a sanding block on this curve, especially here, is that this middle section is not in contact with the blade anymore, right? So, what I like to do is get just get like a marker or something like that, another pen, whatever, and get you some sandpaper like this and just wrap this around just like that, so it's a nice curve surface, and then you can kind of start to go to town, and that's always going to be in contact with that curve, right? Because the curve of the marker is much less than the curve of this blade core, right? Nice. All right, that top side is nice and smooth. I don't feel any waves or dips or anything like that. That, my friends, looks pretty good and smooth. Yeah? So I'm happy with that. We still got to work on this bottom because I still definitely feel some waves on that. So we're going to take the sanding block. Since this is more of a an outward curve, we're going to use the sanding block, and we can be safe that we're not going to miss any of this edge. So we're going to hit this again, make another pass at this. Much better. Much better. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrape that down, and let's get the ceramic scraper in here. Good. Okay, that feels pretty smooth as well. All right, so there, there is our first step in this process, right? This is our core blade, right? So there's a few things that we have to take into consideration at this point. First and foremost is how all of this is going to go together. Now, in a traditional sword knife kind of design, what you have is called a tang. And then it's an extension of the blade that goes down into the handle. Usually a full tang is the full length of the handle, and that attaches to the pommel in some form or fashion. With something like this in terms of scale modeling, no, you don't have to do it that way, right? Which is not how I'm going to do it either. What I'm going to do, what I have planned, is to create the handle, and then the handle is going to slot up into the blade, right? And then the cross guard here, the whatever, hand guard or whatever, is going to kind of sandwich between the two, right? And that's how it's going to be secured. So the trick is we have to build the handle first, and then we have to situate it centrally into the blade. So that's going to be kind of the next challenge at this point before we move on to creating the outer layers of the blade, right? So the biggest thing that I want to do for the Gelgoog is kind of do the same thing that we did with the Mohawk, is put a magnet in the hand and then a magnet in the handle, right? So to do that, we need to get the magnets here. We need to kind of start to take dimensions. Now, for the Mohawk, see, we've got the little magnet right there in the handle. Now, if I'm not mistaken, these are the same ones. Yes, they are. Okay, cool. So we can put that off to the side, and let's pull these out of the bag. All right, so these are, for those of you wondering, K&J Magnetics. That is where I get all of my magnets from. They are great. They have all sorts of magnets in different sizes and shapes and strengths. These are N42s, but they have a ton of the big boy. Christ, get off there. Jeez, they're all sticking together. They've got a ton of the big N52s. Those are the strongest ones that you can buy on their website. And they are extremely strong. Don't get it twisted. The N42s, while they are a bit weaker, are still really, really strong. That's what I have in the Mohawk handle, and that's what I have in the hands. And they snap together really, really nicely, right? And that's not going anywhere, and that's just held on by magnets, right? So pretty good stuff there. And it's just, yeah, it's not moving. So N42s, while weaker than the N52, still plenty strong to hold the weight of that weapon. So we're going to do the same thing with this here, right? So we've got a 4mm wide handle, and this will fit in perfectly with 0.5 millimeter on each side. So that's great. That's what we need, right? All right. Let's see. Gunplay Miami, Chris, Yo Tim, and Army. Hey, what's going on, man? VFX10 Viper, Josh, what's going on? Superset5 over there on Twitch, he's got a question.
We have a question.
There we go. He says, I know that I'm late to the party on this, but what are your thoughts on the perfect grade, perfect strike? I don't know. It's okay, I guess. Right? I'm not huge on perfect grades. I kind of liked the styling of the original better. The details, especially the V-fin and stuff like that, the feet, some of those surface details I liked better on the original. But, you know, it's all in your personal preference. So, yeah, I honestly don't get jazzed on perfect grades. I just don't. They're not my thing, and they're not my scale. So, yeah. Sorry. Sorvon says the new armor for it looks really good. It's something I want to get eventually. So there you go. Manny says, was it me or did that hand look like it gripped the handle? Well, yeah, it's supposed to. See, you got the magnet here, magnet to magnet. See? Look at that, open hand, boom. But, yeah. It grips very nicely. And it fits perfectly, right? Like it's supposed to. Like I built it that way. How about that? Right? So there you go. So we're going to do the same thing with this handle. We got to build it up around that. And then what we'll do is incorporate an extension off of the handle that will then slot up into the blade. And then come final assembly, we'll be able to glue that in place. Everything's right with the world, right? So before we do that, we got to get started on actually building this this handle first. That's kind of the first step before we do anything else. Now, for reference, let's get out of full zoom here. We'll show you the size comparison. there's the full Gelgoog, and there's the there's going to be the size of that blade. Big, mean, meaty. So, I think that's going to come out really, really good. All right, so let's see. We need 1 mil by 4, right? I think this is 3/4. Yeah, that's 3/4. We're gonna need to get a brand new sheet. God damn it, working with magnets so freaking annoying sometimes because they stick to everything. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna need a new strip of 1 by 4. All right. So 1 millimeter by 4 millimeter plastic strip. And for those of you guys that are brand new, evergreen scale models, I cannot stress this enough. These are what you need when you're working with dimensional strips and stuff like that. Tubes, rods, half rounds, other shapes. Go evergreen. They're amazing. Manny says, I'm watching it now while at work. There you go. Nice. Rushlam, Bill, he says, how's it going? Sounds like an interesting stream for me to watch at work tomorrow. Yeah. We're scratch building, dude. Hell yeah. Manny says, no, I meant when you slapped it in the hand, closed it. Oh, without you touching it. Yeah, well, just the snapping action, right? I wish it snapped together like that. Spire 2K2, isn't that the 2.0 Gelgoog? It is. Yes, it is. Julius Dembski, what's up, Sarge? I ordered the same magnets used on your Zaku and quickly received them from K&J. Yeah, they're great. K&J is awesome. I love K&J. That's the only place I will buy magnets from now on, honestly. Because their prices are good, their shipping is good, and it's just a good company to work with. Really, really awesome. K&J, call me up. Cullen Barr, stylistically, I really enjoy treating scratch building similar to forging. Yeah, absolutely. Magnets, how the fuck do they work? With magnetism. I don't know, man. Has something to do with science. I don't know. Superset 5 looks small next to the Gelgoog. What? No, it doesn't. It looks proportional. Proportional. I don't want this thing to be like the size of the Gelgoog, right? But I want it to be hefty. Yeah? I mean, you gotta look. You damn things. Okay, so there's the Mohawk in comparison, right? It's about 20 millimeters shorter, maybe 30. So yeah, this is gonna be beefy. It's gonna be a beefy weapon. Yeah. Gamer Bud, what's going on, bud? My phone hates to notify me when there are live streams. FML, I'm here now though. Hey, better late than never, dude, right? And you can always go back and watch the first hour or something. So, Scott Noonmaker, what's going on, Scotty? Those are some attractive magnets. Yeah, well, they're naturally attractive. How about that? Ha 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 ha. Zing zing. Anyway, enough of the dumbass puns. All right, so we are going to start to build this out now. I think we should get some 4 millimeter by 0.5 millimeter in this situation here too, because I feel that's what we're gonna need. I think this is it. Let's double check. 0.5 by 4, perfect. All right, so we're gonna do the same type of thing as on the Moa Hawk handle, right? So we've got a 4 millimeter kind of, actually like 3.2 millimeter kind of core, and then 0.5 millimeter on the different sides, right? So let's do, you son of a bitch. Come on. Yeah. So that right there, 3.2 on the money is the width of these bar magnets here. That's perfect for us because we have 3.2 millimeter strip from Evergreen, right? So that actually works out really, really well in our favor, right? And then we can back these up with 0.5 millimeter strip. We can get we get the thickness of what we need in terms of the handle thickness. Now, what we got to do is we've got to figure placement, and then we've got to figure how this tang is going to factor in as well. Now, what we used was this strip right here. This is 2.5 wide by 4 millimeter, or it's actually 4 millimeter wide by 2.5 millimeter thick. That's going to be our basis. That's what we kind of sized the handle off of for the Gelgoog's hand, right? Because it grips it pretty damn nicely. And I think if worst came to worst, we could actually thicken that blade or that handle up just a bit, and we could still be on the safe side. And then obviously once we're good with that, what we'll do is come back in here, core out some plastic, pop in some magnets there so they all match up together, right? So that's what we'll do later on down the line. We're definitely not finishing this tonight. Just FYI, guys, this is going to be a multi-parter, simply because this is a little bit more involved than the Moa Hawk is, right? So strap up. It's going to be a wild ride. Okay. All right. So let's get some 3.2 in here. Do we have any 3.2 by 1? I don't know if we do. Doesn't look like it. All right, so let's grab another one of those out of here. There we go. All right. So that's 3.2 wide by 1 millimeter thick. That's going to be kind of the basis of this core here as well. Now, another measurement that we need to take is we need to take the thickness of one of these magnets. All right. So 1.63 millimeter is the thickness of one of these magnets. Now, we've got to plan that accordingly here. So, 1.62. Let me write this all down. So, 1.62 by 3.2, and then length is 9.5. We'll call it 9.5. All right. So 9.5. Okay. So width, length, thickness. Okay, good. So we've got our basis here. Now, we want this to be 2.5 thick. So all we have to do then is back this up with a 1 millimeter strip on this side. That'll get us to 2.62, which is perfectly fine. It's only, what, 0.1 millimeter off. That's nothing. So that'll be actually really, really great. And then what we can do, start to bring the tang through. So what we might want to do is build this out of 0.5 millimeter, because what I'm thinking is, let me see, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to need to do is build the handle thickness out of 0.5 millimeter rather than 1 millimeter. This is why. So let's get you zoomed in here real quick. This is the thing to think about, right? So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strips of 0.5 millimeter stacked on top of one another. That's going to be a total of 2.5 millimeters. That's what we want in terms of thickness, right? Now, to slot this into the handle and everything, we want this to be centered thickness-wise within the, not only the cross guard but also the blade. So if we have the 3 middle layers, that's 1.5 millimeters. That's going to be able to slot right into the cross guard, and then also into the blade, right? And then that will be centered thickness-wise into that assembly. And then we'll have 0.5 mil on either side, right? So that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to build this thickness out of 0.5 millimeter rather than full 1 millimeter strip. All right. So these are the kind of things that you got to keep in mind when you're doing stuff like this, because this is all important, right? Because if we're just kind of building haphazardly, and if we were to use that 1 millimeter, then there would be offset in terms of the centering, for the thickness, right? So all the shit you got to keep in mind, you guys, when you're building stuff like this. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Manny says, no, you forgot the 4 minutes you owe the people. Yeah, right. James says, it's all good, bud. You didn't miss much other than Tim Scratch building a blade. Yeah, pretty much. So, all right. So now that we've got our plan of attack, now we can actually kind of figure out what this thing is going to look like. So now let's line up the blade and the handle. So I want the handle, or I want the blade itself to go up into, or the handle to go up into the blade a pretty long amount, right? Let's get that on camera here. So that's probably a good 20-30 millimeter up into the blade. That's going to provide this whole assembly with nice stability, right? By using thinner strips and gluing them together, that's going to create a laminate assembly, which inherently is going to be stronger than a single strip anyways. If you think in terms of, say, like plywood, for instance. Plywood is extremely strong because it has multiple layers glued on top of one another, and that creates rigidity. Same principle with using thinner strips stacked on top of one another rather than one thick strip. It's just inherently stronger, right? Because of the glue, because of those strips not wanting to move because they're glued together, that creates that rigidity. So that's a good thing for us. So by slotting this into the blade a pretty good amount as well, it's going to increase the stability and the strength of this whole assembly, right? And then the same thing, we're going to want to have this go down into the pommel a pretty good amount too. So we're going to say, what's a good length on this here? We're going to go 30 millimeter up. We're going to bring it down to right there. So that's about 70 millimeter. So that's how much half millimeter strip that we're going to need for each layer, basically. So about there. Get our little chisel blade here. Pop that. And now we've got our basis. Now we can just kind of use that as a template and make some multiple cuts here. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that with this magnet in the handle, we're not going to have 5 exact strips of 70 millimeters stacked on top of one another. We're going to have a gap in there, right? So we're going to have this 1 millimeter base, and then we're going to have our little magnet probably right about there, I would say. Maybe a little lower. And then you're going to have strips on either side, bulking that up to where we need it to be, to the 2.5 millimeters in thickness. From there, we're going to laminate the sides with half millimeter strip as well. We'll trim all that down. That'll get us to the 4 by 2.5 overall dimensions for the handle that we'll end up needing. So I think that'll go good. Yeah. All right, let's get gluing. All right, so we need to get these 2 strips glued up. Now we're going to use super glue for this whole thing. We don't need solvent glue for this. We need super glue, right? Super glue. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Chris Pabs is with us. What's going on, Chris? He says, what's up, all? Just jumping in to say hello real quick. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. Brandon says, anyone ordering from overseas soon need a wave T-square, but that's all I would be ordering, so it's not worth the order would throw in for shipping. Hey, there you go. Yeah, get a bulk order going. Get some coatable Kia parts and stuff like that, you know? Some of the good stuff. Some of the good stuff. All right. So before we do that, let's make this a little bit easier on ourselves here. We'll get the 1, 2, 3 block here. I just like using this when gluing stuff together because it raises the surface a little bit for me, which is easier than to assemble stuff. You just basically pop it on here, and if there's any glue squeeze out, it just really just strips off of this steel block like it's nothing. So it doesn't mess up your mat or anything like that either, so which is really, really nice. All right, so we're gonna get our little BSI super glue here. Ah, come on. Jumped out off me. Jumped out of the tweezers there. That's all right though, it happens. Luckily it didn't land glue surface down on anything. That would have been a tragedy, right? All right. Alignment is always crucial. Squeeze that down, get any excess glue out of there. Alright, so there's our first laminate. That right here is structurally stronger and less resistant or to bending, right? You actually have to work to bend that, right? This, there's nothing there. You don't have to worry about bending it or anything like that. So, laminating strips like this will always give you better rigidity. Keep that in mind. Chris Pabs.
We have a question.
He says, Tim, actually, did you scratch build the arm for the stand for the airdrop? I did. Yes. And Brandon says, yeah, he did, Chris. I'm working my way through the Just to Build videos he has his playlist on. Yeah, see, there you go. Yeah, I made that. The support arm for the Justa for the airdrop is made from, it's a solid core MDF, and then I laminated plastic around it to be able to detail it and paint it easily. So yeah, and it all goes together with some quarter 20 bolts and some threaded inserts into the different pieces and stuff like that, and then that's covered by plates that have magnets on them that actually stick to the quarter 20 screws. So it's pretty ingenious, if I do say so myself. So I'm partial though. Chris Pab says, awesome, I'll have to rewatch that. I need to build one, but I'm worried about stability. Yeah, dude. So with that arm, I built a triangular support block so that it doesn't lean forward. Now, with the quarter 20 bolts, since they're nice and thick, chances are I wouldn't have needed that support block, but overkill is underrated in my opinion. So yeah, go with overkill. That's what I always say, and especially when it comes to supporting you know, mechanisms like that and stuff, and you know, for your models. So always go overkill. Yeah. Chris says, oh damn, thanks Tim. The Exia Amazing's backpack is the heaviest resin backpack, and I need to build a stand for it. Yeah. Like I said, solid MDF. I find it easy to work with, but you know, you can make it out of thicker pieces of plastic as well. Check out McMaster Car online. They have plastic sheets up to a 1/4 inch thick. So, you know, if you wanted to go straight plastic, you could do that. Their sheet prices are pretty damned inexpensive as well. And I mean, honestly, you could cut that on a table saw or hand saw or something like that. Yeah. So easy stuff. Just gotta have the right tools. That's all. All right. So we've got the first lamination down. That's the hardest part for this particular assembly, right? So let's measure off 30 millimeter right there, right? Because that's the amount that we want to slot into the blade. Actually, maybe 20. Yeah, there we go. That's what we wanted. We wanted 20, not 30. So we got 20 millimeter of tang, if you will, into the blade. That's going to create a nice solid connection point there. And then we've got 10 millimeter of that handle going down into the pommel itself. All of that's going to be sandwiched together, and it's going to make it really nice and strong. So that's the intent. Anyways, let's get that mark erased there because we don't need that, right? All right. So now what we've got to do using the handle drawing here is also mark out where everything's going to line up, right? So there is the thickness of our handguard, right? So now what we need to do is get the Gelgoog hand in here and kind of plot out where the magnet needs to be located, right? We don't, I don't want the hand right up against the cross guard here. I want it, about a millimeter or two off. So what we're going to do right there, and right about there. That's where that magnet's going to be located, right there, right? All right, so let's pull our magnet out here, center this guy up, right there. Right there. All right. So now we've got that magnet centered within that handle position, within that hand position. Now we can just glue this magnet in place, boop, just like this. Just pop that right on there, and that's gonna live there forever. Okay. Come on now. Damn thing. Ah. All right, I think we're good to go. All right. So there's our magnet properly positioned. Looking good. So now what we've got to do, now we've got to start bulking this this handle up a little bit with the plastic strip, right? Before I do that, I'm going to get this extra super glue off of here because it is bugging the crap out of me right now. Sometimes you got to just kind of crack off excess super glue around the tip there. There we go. We're good to go. All right. So now we just got to laminate up the rest of the thickness of all this. Now, one thing that you can't be afraid of when you're working with super glue is gluing your fingers together. It's going to happen. It's just going to happen. All right. Okay. First strip down. Pop that off of there. Now this side is going to be full thickness. This is going to be a full 2.5 millimeter, because that pommel is not going to be a big deal in terms of thickness. That's not, it's not a huge concern if we go full tang on that thing. Full tang. Okay. Now, by the end of this operation, you're not going to have fingerprints, like I do, because that super glue is going to get in on your fingertips, and it's just, yeah, it's going to wreak havoc. So, just keep it in mind. All right, one more thickness of 0.5 millimeter strip, and then this back edge of this is going to be good to go. Come on. Ah, we just lost the magnet. God damn. And this whole thing's making a mess. Shit. This is unfortunately part of scratch building, you guys. Making a mess. Knowing how to clean it up. Okay. So now we got to get that damn magnet glued back into place. That magnet's back in place. That thickness is good. Let's double check our stuff here. Okay. Whew. Time check. 11:37. All right. Cool. We're making good good progress so far. Superset 5.
We have a question.
How does one multiply proportions of a 144 scale kit to a 1/100 scale and 1/100 scale to a 60 scale kit, etc.? Good question. So you want to do a little math in terms of scaling, right? So I'm not particularly a math whiz, but basically, what is it? 1/100 scale, or 144 scale is 70% the size of 1/100 scale. Yeah. In terms of 1/60th, I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to actually do the math. I'm sure someone out there in comment land will be able to help out a little bit more. Yeah, you're gonna have to do some division and math it out. So it's the best thing that I can say. Hey, Ken's over there, Kensuke. He says, hey, the decals worked out pretty nice on the Amatsu Hana. Nice, excellent. The decals are amazing. So can't wait to see them on that kit, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Manny says, why not use the 123 block to hold the magnet to find the placement? It's more trouble than it's worth. Honestly. Yeah. Putting it in by hand like this is just going to be a whole lot less of a headache. Trust me. Trust me. Now, one thing that I just noticed that I just fucked up on is that this side here of the upper tang should not have been full width. It should have only gone up to where the cross guard was. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of surgery on this, just a wee bit. Not a huge deal, because since this is super glue, we can separate this fairly easy. Especially since it's newly used super glue, right? Cool. So we just gotta whittle the strip down to where we need it, little piece by piece, right? Just like that. And essentially what we're doing is we're just separating the two layers. That's really all. It's a simple process. There we are. We're going right down to here. We're just kind of letting the blade do the work and separating these two strips. We're going to stop short of that cut mark and bend it back, and there we go. Now we've got that bare strip right up to the cross guard. Very nice. Perfect. That's what we need. All right. So now what we need as well is 2 more layers here and then another small layer right on top there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to leave this on here, and we're going to glue up these 2 other sides here, just like that. And then that's going to be part 1 of this handle. Okay, so there's that. Good. All right, next layer. Okay, so now that fulfills the thickness of the tang going up into the blade. So now we need 1 more small strip here. That goes up into the cross guard. Now, let's see. About there. Yeah, that's not the right strip. God damn it. Where's the right strip? Yeah, see, that's 4.8. That's not what we want. We want the 3.2. Where's the 3.2? Alright, this will work. These little cutoffs here from when I had to whittle away the one little bit, this is actually going to work much better. Right there. Good. Get a little drop of super glue on that. And right there, that, damn it, come on. And of course it's not going to stick now because that super glue is dried. All right, toss that piece. Let's try this again. Like I said, you guys, this is the ugly part of scratch building, where it's just nasty. But in the later stages, we'll clean all this crap up and make it look really nice. Because that's what we had to do with the Mohawk, right? It happens. Okay, that looks good. We just need to trim a little bit off of there. Bring it in line with the other piece on the other side. Perfect. All right. So there, there's the start of our handle, right? Ricky Paul Carlson, he's got a question.
We have a question.
All right. So Ricky wants to know: is the magnet going to be exposed and painted? If so, won't it be needed to be made sure it's arranged always towards the palm of the hand in order to keep the blade edge going downward? Yes, that is correct. So basically right now what the plan is that it's going to go into the palm of the hand right here. Now this is the left hand, obviously it's going to go into the right hand, so think of this as being reversed. But yes, this is going to be switched around, and then this is going to go like that. So yeah. Now what's going to happen is this is 3.2. We're going to laminate 0.5 millimeter on both sides here to cover up the sides of the magnet and everything. So only this surface will be exposed. So that's really all that's going to be shown. And it's going to normally be under the hand anyway, so you're never going to see it. So similar to the Mohawk handle here. Not exposed on the two sides, or on 3 sides, but exposed there. That's all flushed up and everything like that. That'll get painted, primed and painted the same color. And if it scratches off, it's not a big deal because, like I said, it's going to be under the hand anyway. So, c'est la vie, right? So there we go. All right. Now, what we got to do is we've got to laminate the sides of this bad boy, right? But we don't want to laminate too much here because we only want to go as far down as the pommel, right? So right about there is where the pommel begins, and we're going to stop right here at this edge for the side lamination, right? So Transfer these lines down to the side here. Just like that. Just like that. Perfect. So now we've got our 3 sides done up here. So now what we've got to do is find our measurement for this whole thing. And that's going to be, what, 10, 20, 30 on the dot. Perfect. 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 Yeah. Waves in Australian. What's up, James? Mr. Nozaku boy. Yeah. Hey, look, there's Chris R, too. What's going on, Chris? Scratch building, getting dirty and getting nasty with scratch building here tonight, you guys. That's what we're doing. We're working with a bunch of super glue and losing our fingerprints. There we go. All right, so these 2 pieces there constitute the sides of this handle. Where'd it go? Here it is. Got stuck to the side there. Alright, so these 2 will go nicely on there. But before we do that, let's sand up the sides a little bit to clean those up and even them out. That brings everything nicely in line. Do the same thing to the other side here. James says, on my way home with beer in hand. I mean, are we surprised? It's James, man. Come on. I'd be worried if he didn't have a beer in hand. Obviously not drinking and driving, but still. We know the deal. Alright. So the cool thing about having a magnet inside of this assembly and using a metal file is that the piece actually sticks nice and flush to the file, right? So you can easily file the sides down. There we are. Good. Same thing on the other side. We'll just get this nice and flush. Good and smooth. All right, cool. So now we can glue these sides up here. Did I not measure that correctly? I did not measure that correctly. Measure twice, cut once. That's important. Measure twice, cut once. And of course we don't have enough length of that particular strip. Why would we, right? the same thickness of strip here, and then we'll just trim it down. Make it flush. Make all the handle nice and even. Alright, so now what we can do is just run a nice little bead of super glue right along here. Now what that's going to do is that's going to fill in any gaps and everything too, and any unevenness. And since we've got a good amount of overhang, because this strip is wider than what we need, that's going to fill in any gaps there too. And we're laminating the sides, so it's going to cover up all of the different layers. So, yeah. Nice. Let's see here. Chris R says, nice, been working on my Dom, almost ready for paint. Excellent, dude. SCGMC bound, I assume, right? Yeah, let's go. Superset5 over there on Twitch. Alright, I'm out. I've been up since 6 a.m. yesterday. What? Yesterday? Damn. Now that I've had my Mecha Live stream fixed, should be able to sleep. Nice. Superset, thanks for watching, buddy. Appreciate that. James Newsaku Boyce, gotta stop by the Bodilio as I'm out at home. I don't know what a Bodilio is. Liquor store, maybe? I don't know. Maybe that's Australian for liquor store. I don't know. He says, you mean measure once, cut twice. Yeah, well, that is something that I'm also familiar with. Alright. Now we do the same thing to the other side here. Super glue is going to fill in all the gaps and everything nicely. That strip is going to cover up all those nasty looking layers and everything. And then, once this is all cured, we can trim this down. It's going to be beautiful and nice and clean, and everything's going to be right with the world. Trim and sand, and we'll be good to go. Looking at that, it's nice and straight. Very rigid. Looks straight that way, yeah? So I think we're in good shape, you guys. I think we're in good shape. Let's get a time check. 11:59 on the dot. Okay, so let's see. We got our handle in place, right? That's going to go up into... It's going to go up into the blade like that, right? And then we'll get going on the pommel. And then beef out the blade a bunch. Manny says you got 5 minutes left. No. I got a gym calling my name. And then I got to get out of here tomorrow and go out of town, so... That 4 minutes was entertaining you with the music. Think of it that way. Anyway, Bottle-O, yes, bottle shop, liquor store. Gotcha. So that is Australian for liquor store. Good call. See, I can understand Australian. Like jail. You know down in Australia, you guys, they don't spell jail the way we spell it. Jail. They spell it some bastardized English way. I don't know. And that's how James spells it too. Right, James? Anyway. Alright, boys and girls. So that's what we've got for tonight. like I said, this part is messy, and it's definitely not glamorous, right? We're not to that stage yet, but we will be. We will be. I'll get a little bit more work on this done on Sunday after I get back, and yeah, Gail, Gaol, Gail. Ransley Clark, he did the same thing. Look at him. Ransley's over there. Yes. Ransley's over there on Facebook, man. And he did the same thing. Gaol. Yes. Ransley says is how we spell jail. Yeah. And see, that was just a joke that we had with James, because he was fucking around with Shane Daft Robo on one of his live streams one time, and he was fucking with him, telling him that's how they spelled jail down in Australia. At least that's how they used to spell it, like, I guess back in the day, right? But it's funny, yeah. So James Nozaku Boy's over here on YouTube, Ransley's over there on Facebook, and they both kind of did the spelling at the same time. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Oh man. All right. So, boys and girls, that's been the live stream for tonight. We're gonna cut it here, and like I said, we're gonna get a little bit of work done on this on Saturday. Probably clean up the handle and stuff like that. Hopefully start to get the different laminations and stuff like that done on the blade and all that. So hopefully we'll be in good shape, right? So anyway, you guys, hey, if you want one of these cool ass little bear guy shirts, hit up www.chadamecha.com. Let's go back to one camera. Hit up, like I said, www.chadamecha.com. Hit the store button up at the top. You'll find shirts and hats and all sorts of other cool stuff. Go stock up. These things are... I love my bear guy shirt. I'm not going to lie. I wear it all the time. But if you're interested in any of the tools and materials that we have worked with here tonight, there's an Amazon link just below here on Twitch and YouTube. That side, if you're watching on Facebook, go check it out. Lots of cool stuff in there. Tools and materials, books for inspiration, camera gear for streaming, all sorts of fun stuff. I do get a bit of a commission based off of the stuff that you buy, but it goes to help out the stream, so keep that in mind. Stock up. Also, if you are in need of model kits and paints and accessories, Mecha Decals, you can get them at our awesome friends down here at USA Gundam Store. Adam and the fine folks down there will definitely have what you need. All right, so with that being said, we're going to be back here on Monday. No stream tomorrow because I'm going out of town. But we'll be back here on Monday. We will continue scratch building this sword and hopefully make a pretty good headway after we've gotten the form and everything built up and fleshed out here. So once we get that done, then it's on to detailing and stuff like that, and we should be good to go. So without any further ado, guys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, have a wonderful weekend. Go out there, build something cool, stay safe, and I will see you all on Monday. See you guys.